Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel, and we're back with another transfer talk show. It's the first one of the transfer window, and we've got plenty to talk about. We've got Mason Mount, Harry Kane, takeovers, plenty to get into. Hope you enjoy. Let's get straight into it. You're all welcome. Thanks to everybody for joining. As I said, we're back with our very first transfer talk show. Obviously, I've been away for a few weeks. I'm still having some microphone difficulties, so if it doesn't sound like it used to or like it normally does, I do apologize. I've got another one ordered and it's on the way. But yeah, I see some people mentioning it in the comments already. We are giving away a PS5. So I'm going to be running some raffles over the summer and into next season. Hopefully to do it on a regular basis. So you're in with a chance of winning the PS5, guys. You can scan the QR code on the screen. The link is pinned to the top of the chat, and it's also in the description of the video as well. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning the PS5, go check it out. You can buy as many tickets as you want. And we're going to be announcing the winner on the 1st of August. So, yeah, looking forward to do it. So you have, we've got about 6 weeks or so. So plenty of time to get involved. You can buy as many tickets as you like. That's like I said. But anyway, look, let's get straight into it, guys. Really delighted to be back. Had a couple of enjoyable weeks off. So got a bit of a tan, got away. Had some cervezas, all good. But we're back in business. And I see a few of the guys are in. Chris is there. Ben is in. Oshin, the usual crew. Get involved in the chat as well, guys. But let's jump straight into it. And obviously, as we can see here, we're going to be talking about Manchester United and the transfer budget mainly throughout this show. And it's been reported that Manchester United's transfer budget this season is going to be about 120 million euro. Now, first and foremost, off the bat, to me, it doesn't sound like an awful lot for a team that needs major surgery. Well, I won't say major surgery, but needs continuous reinvestment. As we know, obviously, we had a great first transfer window under Ten Hag. Very disappointing one in January. So you would be hoping that we can kick on and maybe get back to the kind of types of players that we signed last year. Obviously, there can always be improvements, and I think the major improvement I want to see out of Manchester United this summer is to get business done quickly and give Ten Hag the tools that he wants and that he needs. Get the players in, get him in before pre-season so he has time to work with them, and hopefully we'll be ready by the start of the season and we won't have the blips like we did last year against Brentford and Brighton. So look, I mean, off the bat, 120 million euro doesn't seem like an awful lot, especially if you're looking for Harry Kane, which we'll get into in a moment, for 100 million, or if it's, a Victor Osimhen for 150 million, you're priced out of market straight away. So I think a lot of this is going to come down to player sales as well. And I do think we've got some players within our squad that we could potentially get some good money for. I mean, I was thinking about this today, and I was kind of totting up the figures in my head. Now, I was probably being a little bit on the generous side in terms of some of the players and what we could get in for them. But I came to a figure of about 150 million euro that we could potentially get from player sales this summer if we can clear the books. If you're looking at, let's take Harry Maguire, for example. I would be looking at about 30 to 35 million euro I think we could get for him. Anthony Martial, 20 to 25, you're talking 60 million there straight away. Jadon Sancho is a big one, and we're going to talk about Jadon Sancho as well, potentially, if he is going to be, moved on this summer. There are some reports suggesting that may be the case. He's a player that you could easily get maybe 40 to 50 million for. So before you know it, I mean, that's only 3 players and you're already at 100 million nearly. And, you could look at, your Donny van de Beeks, your Scott McTominay's, your Freds, these types of players that you could potentially get maybe 20 to 30 million for each player as well. So, it does add up. And then you're looking at fringe players, Anthony Elanga, Brandon Williams, Telles, Bailly, these types of players, sprinkle in a few of them. And, before you know it, you have maybe doubled that 120 million euro that's been suggested that we might have, So, but again, historically with Manchester United over the last 10 years specifically, we've not been good at selling players. And I've seen since I suppose the bought treble that happened a few days ago, a lot of these figures have been thrown around that Manchester United have actually spent more than Man City, and it's net spend, and one, I suppose, one maybe positive I would say about City is that they do tend to get players off of their books and get some decent money for them. You look at some of the players that we've let go. We've got players going on free transfers like Paul Pogba twice, for example. We haven't historically sold our players quite well. We've seen players run down their contracts. They're getting paid too much. They're happy to sit in, collect a paycheck, and they don't even care if they're playing. So I think that's one area that we do have to look at. And I think it's an area that I think if we can get right, it will certainly help Ten Hag in this transfer window, even with the noise in the background of the club being up for sale. I really do. Let's see what people are saying here. Ushin says, welcome back, Jack. Great to have the chats back. Yeah, delighted to be back, Ushin. Appreciate it. Where have you been? Slacking, I see, says Paul. Just on a bit of a holiday. Yeah. Ushin says, Ten Hag is working with one hand behind his back until the sale happens, and it needs to happen soon. I agree. Niall is in. Evening, lads. Looks like Sancho on the way out. Cottle is in. Good to see you, pal. Ushin says 120 million plus, roughly the same raise through sales. Conservatively, yep, absolutely, I agree. Dale is in as well. They've declared they've spent less. Cough, 115 charges. Cough. Yeah, absolutely. And Paul is in as well. Is Man United getting Mbappe? I would highly doubt it. I think Mbappe would, if we're talking about 120 million, Paul, for as our transfer budget in the summer, Mbappe would take that up in one go. And I think we need quantity just as much as we need quality this summer. Another Paul says, only way United get rid of Maguire would have to be a free transfer. Yeah, well, look, anyway, it doesn't really matter. But let's move on to this. So Chris Wheeler is saying that, and again, just a little snippet that I want to say to you. Manchester United have a striker, goalkeeper, left winger, and centre back on their lists of targets this summer. So Ten Hag is looking at a pretty substantial, I suppose, phase 2 of the rebuild. And if we're looking, obviously we know goalkeeper, we know centre back, obviously we know striker, but the left winger is a very interesting one, and this leads into the whole, Jadon Sancho talk, and we've spoke about Jadon Sancho in quite in detail on this, and whether people would like him to go or like him to stay. Me personally, I mean, there's a couple of different options here that I'm looking at. With Jadon Sancho, I would like to see him get one more year and see what he can do. I really would. However, if we're looking at a transfer budget of 120 million and anything above that would have to be from player sales, then I would probably lean towards selling him. I really would. I think if we did do that, it would open up the possibilities, and it would probably speed up our rebuild a little bit quicker, if that makes sense, because we're probably going to be looking, and I'll get into it in a moment here as well, that we're probably going to be looking at 2 midfielders in the summer that Ten Hag wants. Obviously, we know Mason Mount, who we'll speak about in a moment, is number 1 on the list for Ten Hag in relation to the midfield rebuild. In relation to another midfielder coming in, you would have to think it's going to be on the defensive side of it, to give Casemiro a bit of support, a bit of help, and the opportunity to get a rest throughout the season. I think that's vitally important. I really do. I think Mason Mount will be coming in maybe to take Eriksen's place, but Eriksen dropping back and maybe playing a more of a squad role behind Mason Mount. And obviously the likes of Caicedo his name has been thrown around a bit as well, and he is up for grabs this summer. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do get 2 midfielders in the summer, one on the defensive side and one on, the more box-to-box or attacking side of the midfield. And I think it's what we need. I really do. But yeah, left winger is the big one. Jadon Sancho, Ten Hag doesn't mess around. And this is the one positive I'm taking out of this. He's not messing about. He really isn't. Paul says, will you ever hurry up and buy Mount? We don't want him anymore. And UK Paul says, yeah, but if we get these new owners, I want Mbappe. Well, see, the thing about it is now, and let me just see, can I bring up the tweet for a second? And this is something that I was pretty much certain was going to happen. Yeah, I have the tweet here. So let me just share my space. So, you know, even if we do get Qatari owners in, so it says here, this is coming from Mike Keegan. He said, should either Sheikh Jazim or Sir Jim prevail, they will not be able to pump 1 billion in and send Ten Hag on a rapid shopping spree. For this year, clubs can spend 90% of their income on transfers, wages, and coaches and agents' fees. So we have to be very careful here. Even if the Qataris do take over and all of a sudden there's, you know, unlimited funds, you're looking then at saying, well, we have to stay within financial fair play. We don't want to be like City. If we get billionaire owners, we will be getting billionaire owners regardless. But if we get the Qataris in the door and they are, you know, unlimited in relation to their wealth and what we can spend, doesn't mean we can spend it. You know, you have to stay within that financial fair play. Now, in saying that, if we can get some, going back to what I said earlier, if we can get some good negotiations in relation to getting players off your books, you know, you would expect we'll be able to spend more. You know, the debt would be cleared from the club. You would hope things will be running smoother. You could put more of the Manchester United generated money towards the infrastructure, the training facilities, the stadium, all of these kind of things. But I don't want, well, it's not that I don't want, because I don't have any control over it. But for United fans, it's important not to get carried away. If the Qataris come in and take over Manchester United, we will still have to stay within financial fair play, and we will have to make sure we don't end up like City with 115 charges against us, you know, so that is very important as well. But look, let's move it on, guys. And obviously the main talking points over the last couple of days has been this guy, Mason Mount. And as of a couple of hours ago, Chelsea have rejected an opening bid for Mason Mount by Manchester United. Chelsea have turned down a 40 million bid from Manchester United for midfielder Mason Mount. Mount has so far refused to extend his contract at Stamford Bridge and is approaching the final 12 months of his deal, with Chelsea prepared to entertain a sale this summer if their asking price of around 70 million is met. Now, look, I mean, 70 million for Mason Mount, even me, I think is too much. I really do. Let me just go through a couple of comments before we continue. Philip says, we know what players we need, but getting the deals over the line is a problem. Absolutely. Oshin said, don't disagree with you often, but Sancho has had more than enough chances. Plus, he's the only one we can sell for half decent money. Won't get 60 million quoted though. Yeah, look, and I know what you mean, Oshin. I really do. I'm just on the side of, like, I'd always be worried if we did sell him and all of a sudden he comes through this maybe difficult period in his life that he's going through and he turns into an absolute baller. That's what I'm worried about. So I'm saying, you know, would it really be much harm to keep him for another 12 months and maybe give him the first 4 or 5 games of the season, or give him a 5 or 6 game run, you know, maybe into October or something, and see what he can do? I don't know. But look, I can completely see people's point of view. Paul says 40 million is an insult. It is an insult, to be fair. It is. It's on the lower side, but United don't want to go to the 70. Now, look, it's negotiation tactics. You know, when I bought my house, I went in with a 50 grand opening offer, because if I go in with a 5 grand opening offer lower to what they're looking for, you don't have that wiggle room to negotiate. So it's the way negotiations work. But you know, it's the start of it. I would say we will probably settle on about 55 to 60 million, I think. But we'll see. Niall says, if we were in better shape, we should be able to cash in on Rashford, since he only had 1 year left on his contract. Controversial, I know. Oh, no, Niall. No. Jesus, no. I was cashing in on Rashford after he's scoring 30 goals in the season. He'll sign a new deal there. He really will. I think he's probably just waiting for, and he's probably smart in what he's doing. He's waiting for Qatar to come in, if it is Qatar. And he's saying, okay, we've got the richest owners in the world, or one of the richest owners in the world, now I can get an extra 50 grand a week. I don't think Rashford is going anywhere. She says, 2 bids for Mount, then move on. No more drawn-out transfers. We don't want another Frankie de Jong this season. Completely agree. And Philip says, do we really want to pay 60 to 70 million on Mount, who couldn't get in a side that finished 12th last season? Well, look, I mean, you have to look at the 2 previous seasons to that as well, Philip. I completely understand what you're saying. But if you look at the previous 2 seasons to that, Mason Mount was Player of the Year for Chelsea in both seasons. And did he win the Champions League in one of them? So, look, I think he's a decent player, and he's an upgrade on the midfield that we've got already. I think he's an upgrade on Eriksen, not in all areas. I think Eriksen is probably more creative than Mount, but I think in terms of legs, in terms of how he gets up and down the field, I think I think Mount has him all day, and probably the defensive side of the game, Mount is probably a little bit better as well, but maybe creatively, you would be thinking that Eriksen obviously is a better player that way. But you've got Bruno Fernandes in that midfield as well. So let's see what happens. But yeah, anyway, so look, 40 million, like I said, I don't see, I don't see, I would go as far as saying I don't see Manchester United not getting Mount. I think we'll get him. I think we'll get him pretty early. I think we'll probably get him before the start of July. Ten Hag seems to really want him, and he's going for him. He's going all out for him. But look, I want to move on to this one as well. So this was mentioned today. So Manchester United could target another key signing after a 70 million star at Old Trafford. So this is on the back of the Mason Mount story, and we discussed it already in relation to getting 2 midfielders in. And so basically what it says here, this is coming from Dean Jones. Manchester United are expected to go in for another midfielder on top of Mason Mount. It's an important transfer window for United as they prepare for the season, fighting for the top of the Premier League, blah, 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 blah. Mount is a player who has been heavily linked with a move to Old Trafford. CBS reporter Ben Jacobs recently told Gimme Sport that Mount is now considered a high priority for the Red Devils towards the transfer window. So look, it's basically stating that United and Erik ten Hag do want a second midfielder in the summer. Now, again, look, obviously not the most concrete of sources here, but there has been a number of different outlets over the last few weeks and maybe months even that have suggested that Ten Hag does want to get 2 midfielders in the summer. And to be honest, I have to say, we've discussed it on this channel an awful lot with the with the community here and with all of the guys and girls, and we've pretty much hit the nail on the head when we discussed what areas we want to improve. Majority of people said a centre back, 2 midfielders, a striker, and then you're looking at a goalkeeper, maybe a right back, things like that. So we've hit the nail on the head. These reports are starting to suggest the same. Obviously, the number 9 is most important. Your midfield after that, and then another centre back. So I think it's good to see, and it's something that I do want to have happen. I do want us to get another midfielder in there. I think it's time for Donny van de Beek to go, and I think it's time for at least Scott McTominay to go, if not Fred with him. Obviously, we've seen after the Fulham game, Fred speaking with the Fulham manager outside Old Trafford, and the rumour mill started and things like that. So look, I mean, would you get rid of Fred and McTominay? And that's a question I'll put to you. Let me know in the comment section. Would you get rid of Fred and McTominay early in the transfer window if bids come in for them, in hoping that we can sign 2 other midfielders to replace them? So you might get 2 central midfielders, okay? Or sorry, you might sell 2 of your central midfielders early in the transfer window, but you're taking a big gamble that you have to go out then and sign 2 more midfielders that are maybe upgrades on what you sold. So I think it's probably something that's not taken into consideration so much, that early in the transfer window, I think clubs are probably reluctant to sell because they don't know how easy it will be to replace the players that they're selling. We've seen it with United historically. Frankie de Jong last summer, great example. Struggling to get players in, and then maybe last minute deals getting done. And I think it's a fine line that you have to tread. You have to make sure that you're not selling the players that, okay, albeit you might want to move them on, but you can't sell them without being able to get a replacement in, or then you're stuck for the start of the season. Let's see. Rizvan is in. Good to see you, pal. Let's see. Paul says, I wonder if United don't get Mount and Caicedo off Brighton, likely to go to Chelsea. What midfielders are they linked to? Well, look, I mean, there's a wide variety of them, but I mean, it seems like obviously Caicedo being linked with Chelsea, Rice being linked with Arsenal, Bellingham already gone to Real Madrid. McAllister already gone to Liverpool. The midfield area and midfield players are hot property this summer. So we better get our fucking arse in gear, or we could be left behind, and we'll be bringing Marwan Fellaini back, Declan Rice says, Paul, yeah, looks like it's probably going to be Arsenal for him. Oshin says, I'd miss Fred more, but wouldn't lose sleep if they both went. No, either would I. I think it was, if you put a gun to my head and said, which one are you going to sell, McTominay or Fred, it would be McTominay all day. I think Fred gives you a lot of energy. Fred can have a 9 out of 10 game or a 1 out of 10 game. There tends to be nothing in between. So, but I would keep him over McTominay. Benny says, keep Fred as a backup, get rid of McTominay. Yep, there we go. Chris says Rabiot and another will come. And again, we have to remember the whole Sabitzer situation. Is he going to be kept on? That's still kind of rumbling on in the background. I don't think a definitive decision has been made on it. There was reports suggesting that we weren't going to sign him. Then we are going to sign him. Then he gets injured, and I think maybe Ten Hag and United are probably holding on to see how his recovery goes before they make a decision on whether they sign him permanently or not. Is Arsenal out of the race for Rice? Says Niall. Well, the last I've seen that he was basically they were favourites for him, unless I've missed something today. Freddie McTominay are bench warmer, says Chris. Ben says, yes, get them gone. Worst case, Rabiot is on a free. Yeah, look, and I don't think it would be a bad idea getting Rabiot in on a free. And these are the kind of deals that, we've seen with Eriksen last year on a free. It might only be a short-term deal for Eriksen. I think, did he get a 2-year deal or maybe a 3-year deal? But we could move Eriksen on next summer with a year left on his contract and get maybe 10 million for him, 15 million, and then you're making 15 million on the back of nothing spent. So, yeah. Let's see. We'd get 75 to 80 mil for both. That's Mount's fee cleared, still leaving 120 mil for other positions. Yeah, absolutely. And then if you look at it then as well, Oshin, you probably get, 15 to 20 million for Elanga. You would probably get 15 million for Tellez and Bailly combined. So that would be, let's say that's 35. You could get 25 for Martial. That's 60. You could get probably 30 million for Maguire. That's another 90 million. So there's another 90 million to spend without touching the 120 million budget that's supposedly there. So, I mean, it's not out of realms of possibility. The one thing is, this is a lot of business. If you're going to be selling players to buy players, it's a lot of negotiations. It's a lot of business. And historically, United have been slow at doing that. That's the worry. I'm not worried about money this summer. I think the money will be there. My worry is shipping players off the books. Get them gone. Kick the can. You know what I mean? Sayonara. Hasta luego. Later, losers. Bye-bye. And out you go. And then reinvest, and get the players in for Ten Hag. And I think it's, I think we're less than a month away from players returning for pre-season. Now, I think we've got a week of pre-season training in Manchester, and then they go on pre-season tour, which, by the way, is coming to Dublin, and I'm going to it. I got tickets, so happy days. Let's see what people are saying. Chris says, I would play Iqbal and Rabiot, then Fred and McTominay. Ben says, we have good youth players coming through in midfield as well, i.e. Menu. Absolutely. I think it would probably be beneficial for the likes of Manu, though, to get maybe a season on loan. I really do, with maybe the option of recalling him if you want, because I think he's probably, if we're going into the market for another midfielder and potentially two, his game time will probably be limited like it was last season. I would look at maybe loaning him out to maybe a championship side and see how he gets on. Niall says Lukaku for central defence had a great performance the other night. He did, yeah. He's good in the air, ain't he? Absolute pudding, boy. Anyway, Paul says, seen Villa are looking at Sancho. So yeah, look, let's dive into it. I never pulled up the tweet about it, but basically Aston Villa are in for Jadon Sancho. They want to sign him in the summer if he is up for sale. And I mean, look, we touched on it briefly, but I mean, if he goes, I'm not going to be disappointed. If he stays, I'm not going to be disappointed. I trust the manager and whatever he wants to do. So let's do whatever he wants done. I'll put it to you guys. Let's do a poll. Do you think Manchester United should sell Jadon Sancho in the summer? Yes or no? And, we'll make up our mind on that. But again, going back to the point that Oshin made, and it's a very solid one, that he's probably the only player in the Manchester United squad that you could realistically look for more than 50 million for. I mean, if Mason Mount is going for 70 million, according to Chelsea, you would say Sancho is probably minimum 60, minimum. But anyway, Sabitzer, too injury prone for me. Don't want another Hargreaves, says Oshin. Liam says, did I miss any discussion on the goalie? No, we haven't really discussed that to do with goalkeepers. It's not really a priority talking point at the moment. United are looking at the options of goalkeepers, but I think over the last couple of days, it's basically been the likes of Mason Mount and so on and so forth. But let's move it on. Anyway, let's see. I'll get through the last few comments here. We just need to make sure that fax machine is working, says Oshin. Benny says, there are rumours of a 450 million budget if the Qataris come in. It will not happen, Benny. It will not happen. I can promise you right now, it won't. You will not stay within financial fair play if you're going out spending 450 million in the summer. It won't happen. Now, a 450 million budget over the space of maybe 2 or 3 seasons, then maybe so. Are there any tickets left for the Dublin game? I think they're going on sale tomorrow. If you're not a Manchester United season ticket holder or official club member, I'm a season ticket holder, so we got early access to them. So I have mine since yesterday or the day before. I think it's, what day is today? Today is Wednesday. I think it's tomorrow. Just double check. Sancho to Villa with Ollie Watkins our way. Wouldn't mind that, says Ben. Anyway, let's move it on and let's talk about this guy. And look, we're probably not going to be talking about him for too much longer. And in a way, it's a little bit of a relief. Don't get me wrong, I'm extremely disappointed because I think we could have seriously challenged for the league if we signed him this summer. I really do. But look, Manchester United admit defeat in Harry Kane pursuit, and it's Daniel Levy is doing a Daniel Levy on it. Manchester United appear to be acting with an uncharacteristic haste this summer, which extends as much to the deals as they are prepared to do as the ones they are not. Harry Kane now seems to be an example of the latter. As reported by Jamie Jackson of The Guardian, the Red Devils have ended their interest in Kane altogether. United have conceded that the amount of money that would be required to complete a deal for the England captain is far from realistic at this time. Erik ten Hag was believed to have made Kane a primary target leading into the summer, but is thought to understand that the club simply cannot afford to sign the striker, particularly given Tottenham Hotspur chairman Daniel Levy's outlandish stance regarding a player in the final year of his contract. Now, unless something dramatic changes, Manchester United are not going to be signing Harry Kane. I don't think. And I think there's 2 things here I want to say. First and foremost, you can't blame Daniel Levy. He's entitled to say to Kane, you've got a contract. We're entitled to keep you until your contract expires and risk losing you on your free. That's up to them. No problem. But, and I don't want to put all of the negativity and that ever happens to Manchester United on the Glazers, but by God, I mean, Manchester United not being able to afford a top striker in the Premier League that could potentially go on and help us win a title. I mean, if you just rewind 20 years, you know, Manchester United can't afford to sign Andy Cole. You know, that would be nearly 30 years ago. Manchester United can't afford to sign Dwight York. Manchester United can't afford to sign Wayne Rooney, Ruud van Nistelrooy. They haven't got enough money to sign these top players. And this is where the Glazers have brought us. They've brought us to this point where Manchester United cannot afford to sign a player with 1 year left on his deal. They can't afford it, you know. And I think it says an awful lot about where our club has been led. Where hopefully a new dawn is on the horizon, but by God, are we still, you know, is it still dark? You know, basically, and it's disappointing. It really is, because I've said it for years that I could see Harry Kane playing at Manchester United one day. I really could, and for the fact that we can't afford him, I mean, fucking hell, you know. But look, I think that's probably more so. I think it's probably 50-50 to be honest with you. I think it's Daniel Levy digging his heels in and demanding vast sums of money. But again, you go back to, you know, what we've been saying there, and Oisin made a point previously. You know, you sell Maguire, McTominay, and Fred. You would probably have to put 20 million towards getting Harry Kane with the money you've made off of that. Now, of course, you do have to go back and reinvest into, you know, them areas that you've sold players. But I mean, if you want Kane, you could have gotten him. You really could have. But look, maybe it's not over. Maybe this is just conjecture, or maybe it's you know, again, Daniel Levy and Spurs looking to, you know, garner a higher price for him. I don't know, but as it stands, it looks like Harry Kane to Manchester United is not going to really happen, which is disappointing. Again, it says here, Fabrizio Romano doubles down. He says Manchester United are currently looking at other options for new strikers, as Harry Kane deal is not advancing at all. Man United feel Tottenham never wanted to sell Kane to them and have no plans to enter into 2-month saga, which is good. Again, this is a positive. Again, we try and look at as many positives as we can in this community and not be too negative. It goes back to what somebody mentioned in the chat a few minutes ago. You don't want us to go into another Frankie de Jong situation where you're chasing him till late August, and then all of a sudden, I told you back in fucking May, lads, I'm not signing. Oh, Jesus, what do we do now? You know, get Eriksen on a free, get Casemiro, and look, it worked. But there's only so much that kind of way of doing business is going to work. It'll eventually bite you in the arse. It really will. Oisin says, no way, Oisin says, I love Kane at Old Trafford, but Levy will be a ball buster to negotiate with. If it's Kane's choice to stay, he clearly lacks any ambition. Again, and that's going back to what I'm saying here in relation that it may not fully be over. You know, Harry Kane could come out, you know, once the England international games are over and say, and hand in a transfer request, and then, right, we're on again. You know, United are back in the hunt. So, look, I'm happy that United are putting this kind of stance down, because I think what it would probably do more than anything else would say to Harry Kane, if Harry Kane is desperate to move away from Spurs and wants to go to United, he's going to say, shit, these guys are not going to wait around for me. I need to do something here. And then maybe it might force them to put in a transfer request. Who knows? Chris says, wait. If Qatari come in and pay the fees outstanding from transfers, that would reset the FFP. Our issue is that we have fees that were pushed off. That is true, Chris. That is true. In relation to outstanding transfer fees, United have about £300 million worth of outstanding transfer fees. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not able to pay them. That means, you know, when you're brokering deals, right, we'll give you 40 million up front, and we'll give you 5 million a year over the next, 4 years, whatever it may be. So United currently have about 300 million worth of outstanding transfer fees. I don't know if that actually goes towards FFP. I'm sure it probably does, because it's money out versus money in. The one issue is that I was reading about it today was that if the new owners are announced tomorrow, for example, okay, brilliant. They're not going to be in tomorrow. It might be, 6 weeks down the line, or maybe not 6 weeks. I have no idea. But they won't be coming in straight away and going, here's 300 million. Now reset FFP and let's go again. I'm sure it will help, but I don't think it would be instantaneous, if that makes sense. John says, as long as the saga doesn't go on all summer, spot on. Benny says, it might be United doing the same, showing no interest in the hopes that Spurs might drop their price. There you go as well. I don't think Daniel Levy is... I think Daniel Levy just strikes me as the kind of CEO that would come along and say, I don't give a shit. I will lose you for free next year. I don't care. And they've got a new manager in Postecoglou. I don't know what he's going to do. We've done a great job at Celtic, but I mean, wasn't there reports when he went to Celtic first that potentially he wasn't allowed to take the job because he hadn't got his coaching badges done? And now he's managing Spurs. So let's see what happens. I'll be keeping a close eye on Spurs. I don't think Harry Kane would be too enthusiastic about the likes of Postecoglou coming in. But let's see what happens. Chris says, it's terrible bookkeeping by the Glazers board, but can be cleared up. And Oshin says, as long as alternatives aren't Calvert-Lewin and Solanke. Exactly. Benny says, same as Qatari saying they're not interested in bidding anymore for United to stop the dance to the Glazers tune. And Chris says, Levy will cut off his nose to spite his face. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Kim Min-jae. Manchester United remain in the race for Kim Min-jae, but nothing has been agreed yet. FC Bayern are also interested in Kim as one of the options for a new centre-back. So this is going to be the main rival for Manchester United, is Bayern Munich. Now, we know the kind of pull that Bayern Munich have as a club. The Bundesliga as a league, obviously, is far inferior to the Premier League. But Manchester United have got competition, and of course they've got competition because this guy's release clause is coming up soon for 40 million, something like that, 45 million, I think. So it's not just going to be Manchester United going, there you go, let's take him off your hands. It's not going to be that easy. It's going to be difficult. So look, there's multiple sources here saying this. Bayern Munich are interested in Man United target Kim Min-jae. Talks took place in the last few weeks, and Min-jae can imagine joining them. The first talks were very positive, and a first proposal was made to his agent. So Bayern Munich supposedly have already had talks with him. So United need to get their act together. And again, we're seeing this already. Now, there was reports last week that United have been talking to his representatives as well. We just need to get our arse moving. We really do. We need to get our arse in gear. And I think we don't need to, overly analyse this in any way. Kim Min-jae to Manchester United makes sense. Harry Maguire is being looked to, United are looking to move him on. You have Varane there that will need cover. I think I would go as far as saying that Varane will be a squad player next year if we sign Kim Min-jae. I think it would be Kim Min-jae and Alessandro Martinez with Varane coming in and out, being able to rest him. And then of course you have Victor Lindelof as well, who had a brilliant second half of the season. Once he didn't have to play with Harry Maguire, we've seen the qualities that he possesses. So, look, I think if we can get Kim Min-jae, our centre-back area is pretty rock solid for the next, however long Varane lasts, maybe 3 years, another 3 years, maybe. You would probably be looking to dive into the market then in maybe 3 years' time for a replacement for Varane. So I think until then, I think if we can get Kim Min-jae, centre-back is tied up in a nice little bow, and just push that to the side. and let's concentrate on other areas. So, but look, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Right, let's get into this one. So, in relation to the sale of Manchester United, obviously we know that the majority of reports coming out today or over the last few days have suggested that this week will be announcement week in relation to who the new owners will be. We've heard it before, so I'm not going to hold my breath for too long on it. But let's hope it is, because the sooner we can get it done. Sorry, lads, my hay fever is absolutely killing me. What was I saying? Yeah, the sooner we can get this, the sooner we can get the sale of the club done, the sooner we can just move on and, you know, start planning, not just for this summer, but for future summers as well, and the progress of the club. But anyway, it says here from Mike Keegan again, it says, should either Sheikh Jassim or Jim Radcliffe prevail? Oh, yeah, sorry, we read this one already. They will not be able to pump 1 billion in and send Ten Hag on a rapid shopping spree. So, look, I mean, it's going to be an interesting week. Let's hope we get to the bottom of or we hear an announcement on the new owners. Look, people have their preferences, whether they want Qatar, whether they want Sir Jim, whether they want, you know, Glazers. Not many of them around, but I just think it needs to be done. It really needs to be done as quickly as possible. Let's see what people are saying here. Same as the Qataris saying they're not interested in bidding anymore for United to stop the dance to the Glazers tune. We read that one already. We read that one. Chris says, sell Sancho for 50 and buy Kudus for 35. Jay will come. Bayern just spent on the licked. Good point there as well. Oshin says, Kim Min Jae and the butcher would be tasty, would be very tasty. Could you imagine the butcher just chopping the meat and Kim Min Jae then, and, you know, like Southeast Asian cuisine, just going, ha, ha, ha. You know, I think it would be a good little, partnership between the two of them. Oshin says, originally wanted Sir Jim, but if he's keeping the parasites in there, I'm all out Qatari now. I think that's the overall, I suppose, standpoint from the majority of United fans now, is that, you know, Sir Jim, if he's keeping the Glazers on, can do one, because we don't want them there anymore. Philip says, so Sir Jim is allowing Thuram to go to the Scousers. And John says 100%. Oshin. Nice says, there's a well in Roscommon with the cure for hay fever. Jesus, I am on the way to that now, because I get it end of May, start of June every year. And I didn't get it when I was on my holidays in Spain, because I don't know, maybe pollen doesn't exist over there or whatever. But as soon as I come back to Ireland, just... And I was playing golf today, which didn't help either. So anyway, guys, these transfer shows are going to be coming weekly. They're going to be coming nightly. So every weeknight from now until the transfer window closes. Now, take that with a pinch of salt, because there may be a night here and a night there. And now that I say it, tomorrow night is one of them nights straight away that I won't be live. So that was a terrible time to say that. We'll be back on Friday night for another transfer talk show. Of course, I might go live maybe a little bit earlier if possible. I don't think I can tomorrow. Or I could do a really late night show tomorrow, maybe about 10 o'clock maybe. I'll double check. But anyway, where were you in Spain? I was in Benalmádena. Oshin, really, really lovely place now, I have to say. Really enjoyed it. Down on the marina, and loads of lovely restaurants, and played around the golf over there, and it was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, guys, we're going to be doing the transfer talk shows every weeknight, Monday to Friday. And we're actually, Friday night, is it Friday? We've got Era playing. We're going to be doing watch-alongs for the Ireland games. We've actually got a game on tonight. Lovely. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a watch along on Friday, guys, for Ireland versus Greece. You can see it there. Ireland versus Greece, 9:45. So we'll go live at 7:30 on Friday night. So we'll be doing a watch along for that. Read that comment again. Were you in Spain? Right, okay, shit. Yeah, I'm a bit. I'm still on. I'm still in holiday mode. Chris says the 7-month membership badge looks like a Liverpool badge. Man, it's got United crest on it. You'll be all right. Anyone else wants to join the official memberships, guys, the link is in the description. And as well as you can see on the screen, anybody who wants to be entered into the draw to win a PS5, you can scan the QR code on the screen. The link is pinned to the top of the live chat, and it's also in the description of the video. Click the link. You can buy as many tickets as you want. We're doing the draw on the 1st of August, so I'll be letting you know, all the time as we go anyway. But guys, look, I really appreciate it. Thanks for, decent first live back, getting back into the swing of things as well. England juniors watch along, says Chris. Well, do you know what? Go off and watch your soccer team play, whoever they're playing. Fucking, don't give me any of that guff now. But anyway, look, appreciate it, guys. We'll be back. I might do a late one tomorrow. If not, I'll see you Friday. But thanks to everybody for watching. Appreciate the comments, likes. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. Appreciate you watching. Peace out.